Hi guys, I saw Unity put out their public beta 4 today, so I decided to do a quick video on how to rig up a character so that you can use it inside of Blender inside of Unity using the Mecanim system, and I'm going to use Blender just to do that. What we're seeing here is just the default dude avatar from the tutorial. He's already rigged using the tutorial bones, and we're just going to do the same thing. Making a rig is pretty easy. We just need to fulfill all of the dots, or have a bone for every dot in this rig, except for the ones with the kind of dotted line around them. Those ones are optional, but still it's good to have them in. And if you have all those bones, then you can do retargeting. So I'm just going to use a character that I've been working on. He's still a bit rough, but I'll be using this guy. I'll just move him over. And enable light probes. I'm just going to be using some of the stuff from the Mecanim tutorial, just because that's easy and it all works pretty much. But this guy is just somebody who I've been making myself, so I'll just go into Blender, and as you can see, he's built with the origin right at the center of his feet, which is something I generally try to do, and it works for me. Hopefully if you do it that way as well, then it'll work for you in Mecanim, but it might not be necessary. But anyway, I'm going to center the cursor, and I'm going to add a bone at the cursor, and just turn on X-ray. And in object mode I want it at 0, 0, but then I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm just going to move it up. And we need 3 sections for the chest, so I'll just subdivide it with 2 cuts and just roughly adjust those. And I may as well just name them as I go. I'll call the bottom one hip, the center one stomach, and the top one chest. And the naming doesn't matter too much, as far as I can tell, or at least it's been able to figure out all the names that I've used for stuff. For the legs, you don't want to extrude them straight off the root bone. I had some problems when I did that, so you may as well just extrude them from the chest and make them so that they're not connected, so you can just put them down wherever you want them to be. And I'm going to mirror this a little bit later, so I'm just going to do the left side first, and I'll do the whole leg. And just hit W to subdivide again. Oops. Then just roughly place this stuff where I want it to be. You can spend a lot more time when you're doing this yourself. I'm just mainly just doing this so that you can see the basics of what you need to do. I'm going to just call this top one upperleg.l. The .l is a naming convention inside of Blender. And the lower leg, I'm just going to call that lowerleg.l. And I'm going to have 2 bones for the feet, and I'm just going to do the same thing with extruding 1 bone and hit W to subdivide, and I'll call one the foot.l, and the other one toe.l. And now we'll do the arm. I'll extrude one off from the top of the chest, and I might change the chest a little bit because we'll have a neck bone as well, so that'll be good for the chest. I'll extrude one off for the shoulder. The shoulder's an optional bone inside of Mecanim, but it's always good to have it. And I'll just call this shoulder.l. And I'll extrude off an arm and subdivide again, and that's placed fairly good. For the hand, I'll just quickly name these. Upperarm.l and lowerarm.l. And same thing once again for the hand, subdivide it. You don't have to subdivide every time like I'm doing, you can just extrude them all or subdivide in different ways. I'm sure you can figure out the way you want to do that. And I'll add a thumb bone, but I'll make this so that this isn't connected. If it'll let me. Yeah, here we go. I'll call that thumb.l, hand.l, and fingers.l. So now we have the rough mesh. I'll just quickly mirror once again. I'll center the cursor. I'll change the pivot point to the 3D cursor so it's pivoting around the center. I'll just use box select to choose everything on the right hand side, and I will press Control M to mirror, X for Control M. Sorry, I'm pressing the wrong keys. I'll duplicate the bones, and I will mirror them on the x-axis. So now I have all the bones that I need. Well, not all of them. I still need a neck and a head, and I'll just extrude that off here. Change back to median point so it's easier to do stuff. And extrude off one more bone for the head, and I'll just get that so it's facing upwards. And there we have all the bones, and I'll just quickly go through and name these so that instead of .l they're .r. Okay, now they're all named. Seems they're all correct. And everything's roughly in place. Maybe the thumb's a little low. What I can do is I can turn on x-axis mirror, and then I should be able to, maintain the mirror on both sides, which is handy, so you don't have to have it absolutely perfect before you mirror it. And I'll just select everything and press Control N and move it on the y-axis. That just changes all the rotations, so all the rotations are kind of consistent. I'm not sure how necessary that is, but I just always tend to do that. It's just a nice thing to do. So I'll just assume everything's fairly well in a nice position. Actually, I might move the legs a little bit. Yeah, that's good. And now go into pose mode, select the character, select the skeleton, Control P, parent with automatic weights, and now that should be deforming fairly nicely. Test a little bit. I could fix up the weights, but that's maybe a little bit too far out of the scope for this tutorial. But anyway, at least he's moving, and that's good enough for now. Again, you can always spend a whole lot more time rigging him a whole lot more nicely. But anyway, now we have a rigged golem, and we go back into Unity. Give that a little while that re-imports the golem. Okay, cool. I'll just turn on light probes so it's a bit easier to see. Okay, now what we do is we go to him in the project panel and we change the animator type to human, and we hit apply, and then it takes a little while it basically re-imports him and tries to do a lot of calculations and stuff while it's importing him. It seems every time that you apply something, the amount of time it takes is about the same time it takes to import the character in the first place, so I assume it's just re-importing the whole thing. Anyway, we can go into configure now, hit save, and okay, this hasn't really detected anything. Which isn't great. So what we'll just do is with automap, it's figured out all the stuff with auto mapping. I didn't actually name the head, so what I'm gonna actually do is just go back into Blender and name the head. That's the neck bone, and that's the head bone. And now Unity will re-import that. I'll go back into configure, save again. I'll auto map. Everything seems to have auto mapped properly. And I'll see if I can just go straight into enforce T-pose, and yeah, everything seems fine. I can go into the muscles, I'll just apply that. I can go into the muscles and test it out a little bit, just to see that everything's pretty much working the way that Unity is expecting it to work. And yeah, that doesn't look too bad. This is like a dance move generator. Or maybe someone can turn that idea into a game. Anyway, if we're happy with that, we can just hit done, and so the character should now be ready to just take on the animation on any animation controller that we've been using for other stuff. I didn't actually get too far into this tutorial, but I just made the robot controller with just the idle animation, so I'll just use that robot controller and put that on the golem, hit play, and hopefully we have some success. So yeah, there we go. Everything seems to be working properly. Both of these two characters are using the same animation controller, and Blender's auto mapping as well as Unity's retargeting is working really nicely, and yeah, making a character fairly quickly jump from just being an unrigged character in Blender to something that you can just apply any animation to in Unity. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.